Viewers, welcome back. Now, the next recipe, Rita, is one of my favourites. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know that.
La crema fritta. Now, of course, for our viewers at home, we must remind them that le crema really was something that was introduced into Italy by the French. So we really can't claim them. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. We can't claim it as our own, but of course, we have our own versions of it. Now, crema fritta, which is what we're going to be doing today, is basically creme pâtissière. And I guess we must say it's eggs and milk, and then it's bounded by flour. That's the thickening agent. So as simple as that, isn't it?
Corn flour as well, and flavourings of lemon and orange.
Yeah.
But basically what we're making is a fried custard.
Yes.
So it's a custard that's set, crumbed and fried.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. And I have to say, now the area, of course, that you hail from in Lazio, it's really interesting because I always used to say that when we work together, I said to you, you so remind me of the northern cooking. And in my research, what I have found is because Lazio touches both Tuscany and Campania, you see, you've taken a bit from both. So le creme, of course, the fried custard is coming from the north of Italy. So there you go.
It's something that I like to eat and I like to make, and that's why I make it. It's not because it comes from my region,
No.
but, you know,
I think all the Italians have got a version of this, don't they?
I think so.
Allora, let's get started with the recipe. Rita, andiamo.
First part of the recipe is a litre of milk.
And this is important because you want to flavour your milk, isn't it?
Correct. Flavoured with a vanilla pod. So this is a fresh vanilla pod. What we're getting out of that is the seeds.
Do you always have to slice it down the centre?
Yeah, you have to slice it down the centre to get the seeds, get to the seeds, and there they are. And then you scrape them all out.
Buono.
Put them into the custard. And yeah. So that's the first step.
What about and then you actually throw in the whole pod itself
And
too.
the whole pod itself goes in there, and you need zest of a lemon, zest of an orange.
Yes.
And we need flour, plain flour, corn flour, and sugar.
All right.
Breadcrumbs. Is that right?
And the egg wash too.
And the eggs. Egg yolks and...
Beautiful. Now show us how to zest oranges and lemons, Reed.
Okay. So
simple.
Just
really
zest
fine.
like that in there. That's the orange, a whole orange. And this is a whole lemon and a whole orange.
Yeah.
And just make sure that you wash these before you use them.
Yeah, because they've got all the chemicals and stuff.
Yes, and then you can put that on the stove.
Beautiful.
While you do that, I will get onto the eggs. So we're just separating. We want the egg yolk. So we'll just crack one.
Beautiful.
Egg yolk.
Beautiful.
So all the eggs.
How many eggs for a litre of milk, Rita?
So it's 12 eggs.
12 eggs.
Egg yolks. 12 egg yolks. And then what we do is add the sugar into the eggs.
And we beat it?
Beat it up just with a whisk.
So you don't have to cream it so it's really white or anything?
So we just want the milk to come up to the boil.
Yep.
Once it's just come up to the boil, switch it off and let it sit for about 20 minutes just for the flavour to infuse, for the lemon and the orange and the vanilla to get right into that milk.
Because you'll scramble the eggs otherwise if you add it in, won't you, when it's too hot?
It's too hot, yeah.
It's
So
too
we
hot.
just let that sit.
Okay.
Then you strain the milk into the egg mixture.
Yes.
And then mix it all together.
And whisk it through.
Whisk it through.
Yes. The eggs through the milk, yep. The most important thing I know about that is that you mustn't scramble the eggs, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Which means you don't want your milk too hot.
Too hot, no. So once you've poured the milk in there, stir it up, and then you put it back into another clean pot to cook out the custard.
Okay, all right. And how long should that take? And is it a constant stirring?
It's constant stirring. You need a whisk, you need a spatula, and you've got to stir it on a high heat.
Yes.
And before you know it, the custard it'll start to thicken up, and keep stirring really quickly. And once you see the first, this is really important with this custard, is once you see the first bubble, you put the custard on low and you cook it out for 4 minutes.
Okay,
that is paramount.
That is the secret.
That's the secret to this custard.
Okay.
If you don't do that, the custard's not going to come out right.
Yeah. Why is that? It's just, is it about a timing thing?
Cooks out the flowers.
Yes.
Cooks out the flowers and It just holds it all together. If you undercook the custard,
yes,
it's going to be soft.
Yes.
And so ultimately, when you're crumbing the custard,
and then you've got to
it's
fry
going to
it,
be too soft. It's going to fall apart. So you need to cook it out for 4 minutes, on a medium heat, not too low.
So Rita, why is that so paramount that you need to cook it out for 4 minutes?
It's so that the flours get cooked out and
yes,
you don't have that floury flavour in the custard, and it also helps to have the custard set very firmly once it's made.
Yes, because the most important thing is, being a crema frita, you're going to be refrying it, and so the texture
has to hold together. So once you've cooked out your custard and it's all lump free and you haven't burnt the edges, then you pour it into a tray, let it set. Don't cover it and put it in the fridge to cool down.
Why not?
Don't cover it, because otherwise the Glad wrap will stick to the custard and it will destroy its shape.
Of course, viewers, for the final part of the recipe, Rita's going to show us how she's going to cut the custard into whatever shape you want. I know she likes to do oblong shapes. And then she's going to do the flouring, the egg mixture and the crumbs. The interesting thing about this is, because we're going to ask Rita what she cooks her custard in, but in the north we do it in butter, and in Emilia-Romagna they do it in lard.
Oh, really?
So really interesting.
Well, I don't do it that way, Caterina. I don't
course
use lard
not.
at all, and I don't use butter. No, we use olive oil.
Really?
Olive oil or canola is good as well.
Yeah, because it gets a lower
it's
temperature.
Light. It's lighter.
So Rita, you've mentioned that you're going to be frying the custard in oil. So how do we get it to that point?
So once the custard's set, you cut it up in this shape is what I've done.
Yes.
And then you put the custard in flour.
Plain flour?
Plain flour.
Yeah.
Egg wash, just egg with a splash of milk in it. And, just like what you would a schnitzel.
Yeah.
And then in the crumbs, in the breadcrumbs.
In the breadcrumbs.
And then fried in olive oil.
So you get nearly
In
a
a
savoury flavour, don't you? With the sweet custard.
Maybe you would,
and then
with the olive oil, you mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely
possibly.
beautiful. So, and once you have done all that, how do you serve it? How do you like to serve it?
Here at Super Maxi, we
Yes.
serve it with a scoop of ice cream and honey.
And honey.
Just drizzled on top.
Beautiful.
And that's it.
On that note, viewers, of course, I want to thank Rita, who is my goddess. She knows obviously this for so many years. And of course, her partner Giovanni, they've been in their current business now for how long? Quite
2
a few
years. 2
and,
years.
And you've
2
seen
and a
the
bit.
changes. Can I do this, Rita?
Thank you.
Just the flowers. Pardon the pun. The important thing I just want to say is, do you think that food is changing in Melbourne at the moment? Are we going back to our roots? Giovanni, what do you think?
Well, depending, we see a lot of people come through here, and,
Yes.
and they're enjoying the food that we're doing.
Yes.
And Rita's food's still a little bit of the past, a little bit, but with a modern twist. So it's people enjoying that.
It's the food that I grew up with in a way. And you know, Rita, I have to say to you, for me, look, I've been around a long time and you've been cooking for a long time. And so you have seen the changes, but you have always stayed very true to your roots, and therefore you allow the main ingredient to speak for itself.
Correct, yeah.
And, you know, your simple fried cauliflower, carciofi, all the beautiful thing you do, it's about the flavour. So take my hat off to chefs, because we need to get back to basic cooking, good cooking. And you are a true chef.
Oh, thank you, Caterina.
No, I mean that, beautiful. Thank you so much. I hope we can come and visit you again. I
Please
always
do.
love
You're always
doing
welcome
show
here.
with you. All
Thank
right.
you.
And you too. I know you're cheeky.
Like come
Sotto,
Caterina.
Ciao, alla prossima. Grazie. Ciao. Ciao.